invite one of the new generation of doctors to talk at our conference, and this year is no different. And in fact, I'm doubly delighted for reasons which will be clear during Steph's talk. So Dr. Stephanie Hill is going to talk about how to turn your QI experience into a springboard for your career. She's the National Institute for Health Research Academic Clinical Fellow in Palliative Medicine, working in Yorkshire. Her area of interest for research is palliative care within the intensive care unit, particularly implementation of interventions. Having been involved with a QI training program during her F1 year, she's used and built on this throughout her career, leading to national and international conference presentations and publications. She attributes some of her success at each stage of her career progression to this, and now works to help teach others QI methodology, as well as drawing parallels with her own academic work and quality improvement.
Hello.
Welcome to our conference, Steph. It's a delight to have you here. And would you like to take the stage over?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Richard. And thank you so much for having me here. As Richard said, as I go through my presentation, you will see why it is such a privilege for me to be here today. So as Richard kindly said, my name is Steph Hill and I'm an academic clinical fellow in palliative medicine. And today I'm going to chat about how I've used quality improvement to springboard my career at each point, and also how you can too. So the session will look a bit like this. I'm going to share you a hypothesis that I have. I'm then going to talk about why you should be getting involved with quality improvement. And I imagine that a lot of you already are, by nature of you being here at this conference, but that might not be the case. What is QI good for? What is quality improvement good for? How you can get started, because it's all well and good having the plan to do it, but how do you actually get that ball rolling? And then I'm just going to run through the example of how I use quality improvement to springboard my own career. So my hypothesis, it's quite a bold one, is that if you learn high quality improvement methodology early on in your career, you will be set for success. And I'm going to hopefully convince you of that throughout my talk. So why should you get involved with quality improvement? As junior doctors, or you may be in another healthcare specialty, chances are you move around different specialties, different areas by nature of your placements. And with that, you will have the privilege of picking up knowledge and seeing how different departments work, picking up the good things, the bad things. And as you move into a next department, a next area, you may be able to compare and contrast that and think, well, my last job, we did it this way, and actually it worked a lot better. So you are in a great position to transfer that knowledge between specialties, and we really should be using that. It's frustrating when things don't work smoothly, and often having a formal process to address those issues and frustrations is the best way to move them forward. And quality improvement can be a good way of doing that, evidencing to others why they need changing and then sustaining that change afterwards. We have a responsibility to provide quality care, and so quality improvement comes underneath that umbrella. And within that, we've got patient safety, which is the topic of the conference today. We've got patient experience that we can improve, and we've got effectiveness of the care and the treatments that we give. And of course, we all know there are hoops to jump through, and we have to do quality improvement for our portfolio progression. And I'm going to talk about where else it can fit in to your portfolio as well. So what is quality improvement good for? Aside from everything I've just spoken about and making those changes, it can be very satisfying to see your work come to fruition and to make changes in your clinical area, to then see the effect on patient care or even on staff satisfaction. The big one that I'm going to talk about today is applications for your career progression. So as you will probably know, at each stage of progression in a doctor's career, and I'm going to focus on that because it's what I've experienced and it's what I have the most knowledge of, we have a point system for the application. And you are expected to do a number of extracurricular activities and activities amongst your clinical work to tick said boxes and score points in order to tally them up and progress to the next stage. The more points you get, the more likely you are to be successful in your application to the job that you want, which is the aim of the game at the end of the day. We want to be progressing in our careers and being able to do the job that we want to do. So I like to say to my more junior colleagues who are right at the start of this journey, the best thing to do is have a look at that point system. And the first thing that I would suggest you do is scribble out the things that you can't make any change to. So things like whether you've got an undergraduate degree or you've got a postgraduate degree before you start medicine are unlikely to be changed at this point, unless you are going to have time out to do a postgraduate degree, of course. But that's not where your efforts are best spent. So cross those out and focus your efforts on the scores that you can change. Within that column, there is quite a lot there. So quality improvement being one of them. Presentations at conferences or local meetings, they vary. Awards and prizes, and these can be national prizes or can be prizes from your medical school. Teaching, and this can again be at varying levels. Publications, leadership opportunities, and then of course evidencing a commitment to specialty as you get later on in your career and you are looking to apply to your specialty of choice. And I would argue that if you have a sound knowledge of quality improvement methodology and get a decent quality improvement project under your belt early on in your career, you can tick a lot of those boxes on the right-hand side. So that's why I'm going to try and convince you of. This here is an example of the scoring system, and this is taken from the surgical training program of the points that you can gain doing a quality improvement project. So as you can see, it goes from 0 right at the bottom if you haven't engaged in any quality improvement or clinical audit. And clinical audit is still in some of the curriculums, but we are moving towards quality improvement as a process. And then it moves all the way up and it graduates in terms of how much you are involved in the project and the quality of it. So right at the top there, that you have led a quality improvement project. It is linked to the speciality of your choice, and they want to see that you've used the Pdsa Cycles in that. So the difference between 8 points right at the top there and 0 points right at the bottom could be the difference between you getting your surgical job of your dreams. But it's not just that quality improvement section that you can score on having done a good quality improvement project. If you do that, a quality improvement project, then you can submit it to a conference, as many of you will have done today, and that will gain you points in that section. Awards and prizes. So you may then go on, hopefully some of you will be looking forward to that today, to winning a prize for presenting that at the conference, or you may win a local prize. And then teaching. So there are a couple of aspects of this. You could either use your quality improvement project in a teaching session, and that evidences that you've taught your peers about quality improvement, or you could take it one step further. And if you really understand and take the time to learn QI methodology, then you can teach your peers about QI methodology. And you could even go as far as to set this up into a set of teaching sessions, and then you're going to score the top points on the teaching section of the points. Publications. So high quality improvement projects can be published. They are published. You only need to go on to PubMed and search quality improvement and you will see those that are there. They of course do need to be high quality and the methodology needs to be sound. They also need to evidence a change and contribute to the literature, as do all publications. In the leadership section, if you then move on in your quality improvement journey and you lead your more junior peers or even more senior peers through quality improvement, then that is evidenced as leadership. And then commitment to specialty. As you progress, then you can start to hone in your quality improvement projects to your specialty and show that you have improved things within the area of your specialty. So I think you can see that that would be taking one good quality improvement project and you can score points in all of those areas, that by definition is springboarding your career. So how do you go about getting involved in quality improvement? Because it may sound great, but you may be sitting there thinking, how do I do it? My first advice would be to say yes. So there are stages when you get to in your career where you have to learn to say no. And that is something that I have had to practice over this last year or so. But initially, when you are a more junior doctor and you are working towards all of those extracurricular activities, the best thing to do is just say yes and get involved with projects. You're bound to start somewhere, and getting involved with a quality improvement project that somebody else is leading and learning from them is a really great place to start. Formal teaching and courses. So there's loads out there to learn proper high quality improvement methodology, so that when you take your time to do your project, you are doing it properly right from the start. And you can go on formal courses where you are guided through that process. And so you are led through, you learn the methodology on the way, and you come out at the end with a very high quality improvement project. You could use online resources. So there's plenty of YouTube videos out there on quality improvement methodology. So just take time to have a look at those. You should have a local champion of quality improvement, or maybe there are multiple at your hospital or wherever you're working. So just take the time to get in contact with them, and I'm sure they would be thrilled to hear from you. And then the best advice for anything is just get going. Don't sit thinking about it. Once you've been to this conference today, hopefully you will be inspired to get going. So why not send those emails to find who your champion is later today or tomorrow? Why not get onto YouTube and have a look at that QI methodology? So quickly then, how I use quality improvement to springboard my career. So I was privileged enough to be selected to attend something called the BASIS course when I was an F1 back in 2017. And this was a course building safety improvement skills, where we were taught quality improvement methodology over a 2-day course. We then had 8 weeks where we went away in a group of 3 and we performed a quality improvement project. And then we came back at the end and we presented that to the group. And within that time, we had a mentor to see us through. We checked in and we were guided through the process, which meant that we did it properly and we learnt the methodology on the way. So by the end of that, myself and my 2 colleagues had a solid quality improvement project. And that has stood me in such good stead going forward. So I earned the maximum 5 points for quality improvement when I was applying for my next stage of training, which was acute medicine ACCS. And this here is the poster, which shows the fish diagram, the Pdsa cycles, which hopefully some of you are used to seeing. If not, then you're in the right place to start learning about it. And interestingly, as you can see, or maybe you can't see, I did my project looking at antibiotic prescribing on a surgical ward, which couldn't be further away from my end specialty, and that's made no difference. So when you're starting out, it doesn't have to apply to your specialty. Maybe later on, then you can look into that. So I took the poster to this conference in 2017, and we just showed the poster at that point. It was in person. We actually got to go to Bristol. It was better times. And we saw other people's posters as well, and they presented them. So we got 5 points there for taking a poster to a conference. I could have won a prize had it been selected for that. And I could have also pushed to go and do an oral presentation. I could have got more points there. So there was scope for me to do more at that point. I also presented the project at Grand Round at my local hospital. So that gave me a certificate for my portfolio. I got feedback on my teaching from the presentation from my peers and from some of the consultants. So at that point just scored me 1 point on the teaching, because you get more as you organise the teaching yourself. And also won a prize for the best F1 quality improvement project. And although that doesn't score because it's locally, it looks great to have that certificate on your portfolio. So if I'd have pushed it, potentially, if I'd have had the support, I could maybe have taken this to publication and got a maximum of 8 points for that. So more relevant quality improvement projects could have maybe gone for that. I could have, at this point, set up some formal quality improvement teaching for my peers, and I definitely could have done that, because there are multiple times as I've gone through my career where I've spoken to my colleagues and they have no idea about quality improvement methodology. And so setting up that teaching program would be a great thing to do. And if it's something that you feel confident in, then I would certainly urge you to look into that as your tick box for the organising teaching. So later in my career, so even at my registrar academic interview, I talked about this BASIS project. I talked about the quality improvement methodology. I talked about the Pdsa Cycles to evidence that I had learnt that methodology and used it throughout my career. I then went on to lead further quality improvement projects and guide some of my more junior colleagues through there. And I did another quality improvement project with some of my colleagues in my final year of my acute medicine training, and took it as an oral presentation to this conference in 2021. I then went on to win a prize there. So that's some more points for my higher specialty training. And this takes me to being here today. What an opportunity. And I wouldn't be here if I hadn't have attended that course as an F1, if I hadn't have got that fire for quality improvement methodology and seen the effect that it can have throughout my career. And I have such a passion to try and make that clear to junior doctors how much you can really get out of a quality improvement project. It's not just about how much you can affect patient care and staff satisfaction, which is a huge part of it. But as doctors, we do have to jump through these hoops. We all know we do. And we're busy. Now more than ever, it's so important that we protect the time that we have. And so getting the most out of these activities that you do is going to stand you in great stead for that, because the less you have to do to tick those boxes, the more time you have to spend doing things that you enjoy. So thank you very much. I welcome any questions.
Steph, thank you very much indeed. I think the audience have been so absorbed and I hope inspired by what you had to say that there are no questions from them. But can I ask you something that I think has come up before in at least one of our previous conferences, which is about taking an unfinished project with you to a new stage. How easy is that?
In terms of taking it to present, or
actually taking it to finish off the project once you move on?
As in you've got an unfinished project and you've moved to a new job, or?
Yes, you moved to a new job.
Yeah, it is.
How easy is it to take it with you?
It is very difficult, because, and that's one of the things that we have to face as doctors, is that we move on very often 4 monthly to start with. So I would always say try and start your projects as early as possible. I think if you're working in the same hospital, it's easy to go back to, but the best way to continue the project is to find somebody in the next rotation. And the beauty of quality improvement as well is that it's not often an individual process, it's a shared process. And the more people you get involved, the better, because you've got more minds adding to it. And so if you start the project, you can pass it on to one of your colleagues to do, who are uptaking that rotation, and then you get their view on it as well. And then when you get to the point where you want to take it to present or even go for publication, it actually looks better if you've got more people involved in that project.
Thank you very much. Well, there's some very positive comments that come through, including a thank you, Steph. This is a refreshing approach to career progression for all professionals. So thank you very much indeed. And you're going to be judging later on as well. So
I am, yes. Yeah.
You've got a busy day.
I have, yeah, but I'm very pleased to be here. So thank you.
Well, we're delighted to have you. Thank you very much for speaking. If I could just say to everybody that we'll have a 15-minute break now. If judges and presenters can be in your poster room at 10:50, please, the 10 minutes before you start. If anyone needs to check their poster group, there's a link pinned in the event chat for you to check. And following the poster groups, there will be workshops, and a link to those workshops will be posted in the chat now, just in case you've forgotten which one you've registered for. And then we come back for lunch at 1:30, please. No bells and whistles. We'll start again then. I look forward to seeing you later.